did you see from the game? What was the layout? What you saw that's different?
We were the first people to explore the open world. So we got to actually, roam around in our junk cars that have missile launchers attached to them for some reason.
Okay. Two and a half hours?
Yeah, two and a half hours.
Cool.
We got to play like 2 or 3 story missions, see how the combat is, play around with the powers, and then they gave us a demonstration of stuff that we couldn't play with, like the gravity gun. Looks super cool.
JV, this is why I love you, and I hope you know that I love you. Because you wrote a story on the site that just said Rage 2 has a gravity gun. It's like, mwah. In terms of headlines, that's what they should be. Just 5 words or less, get to the point.
Not does Rage 2 have a gravity gun?
Exactly.
You'll never believe the answer.
Click through to find out.
Yeah. And also the super rad powers that let you throw enemies around and basically just turn them into red mush. It's real fun.
Beautiful.
Yeah, but that's basically their view. We got 2 to 3 hours of gameplay and then got to see some stuff nobody else has seen.
And the part that's a little insider, but that I love, is the fact that they actually flew out folks from id as well, that it wasn't just Avalanche there, right?
Yeah, they flew out Tim Willits, who is a longtime id Software guy. He helped with Hexen and Quake and stuff.
Of course, Hexen. Yeah. Okay, Leo, what's your takeaway from Rage 2?
I'm really impressed.
Sincerely.
Check this out.
This isn't cover story hype glow here.
No, honestly, going into this, it was more of a, it's my turn to do a cover story. and I like what Avalanche has done. I haven't been super into any recent id projects, or certainly the first Rage was fine but didn't blow me away. Mm-hmm. But this game is Avalanche as hell.
Yeah, it's the best way to think about it is, if you play the original Rage, don't think about it as a sequel to Rage. Think about it as a cousin to Bulletstorm.
That's what Leo's pitch was too. Yeah, the open world Bulletstorm.
Yeah, that's very much what it is, without as much dick humor. There's still some kind of gross humor in there, but it's not oh my god.
Bulletstorm, lack of dick humor. That's peanut butter and chocolate.
Yeah.
I think it's too early to confidently say there will be a lack of dick humor in this game, but it's an example of how it's an open world Bulletstorm, a bit more of a dynamic Bulletstorm. Bulletstorm had a lot of kicking people into spike walls was one of the things you can do.
Yeah.
And now there's a power called Barrier, which will block damage from you, just throws a barrier right in front of you, and you can kick people into that and they'll turn into mush. So you're setting up your own combos with the different powers rather than doing them based on the environment.
Yeah. And what's the point? Is there the high score meter like there was in Bulletstorm?
No, there's no high score meter. It's just fun. It's just fun to do. The powers
I'm
are
gonna write this down.
ridiculously fun. One of them is called a vortex grenade, and it's basically the glue of your arsenal. You throw it and it sucks all the enemies in there. So you can do that and then pop a grenade. And it just floats to the center and blows them to pieces.
That's awesome.
There's just tons of combinations.
The reason to do it, as far as I understand it, is there are kill combos. So you want to be killing fast to earn your overdrive faster, which is when you can go shoot without reloading and kick way harder, stuff like that. But the other reason is because it's a lot like the new Doom in that you have to be constantly moving to not die. You have to be using these movement abilities. There's dashing, there's double jumping and hovering in the air. All that stuff you've got to be using in combat to avoid getting shot. Because you die really fast if you stand still.
Fun fact I didn't know about this game was that Ben Reeves actually saw it too.
I don't think that's true.
Oh yeah, you were
Did
there.
you have the same take?
Oh, well, I was letting these guys go because they're really enthusiastic about it. And I feel like I was ready to blow my brains out. No, I'm not. I don't want to say I'm down on it, but I definitely was not as enthusiastic. But I liked exploring that open world, and we played it first thing, which I think was maybe a mistake because I was messing around with powers and stuff, doing them one at a time, exploring the world, which feels a little bit barren, and even for a post-apocalyptic barren world, it feels barren. But then they showed us that demo where they did all the powers, and you're like, oh, this game looks really cool. Showing them, seeing how they would use the powers in conjunction with one another and throw people in the air and then throw people through shields, everything they just described looks really awesome. I'm like, oh, now I want to go back and play it.
Right.
And see if I can do that. But the way I was playing it was wrong.
It was the combat designer, right, who was playing it?
Yeah.
Him playing it in front of us in the gray box, spawning different enemies over and over again and killing them in different ways. It looked like we were watching a gameplay trailer. It flowed together unbelievably well when somebody really talented was at the sticks. I did one combo that was cool when I was playing. I did a double jump. I saw people down on yonder ridge, where people like to hang out.
Yonder.
I double jump, dashed over, and then slammed down on them. Use the slam ability.
That's a fine combo.
for a first timer, a decent combo.
It'll do. So that was like the big question mark, JB. I know you've been banging a drum about this for a long time, at least since E3, about like, what is this open world actually going to look like? And Reeves gave a hint with a little more barren than we expected. But what was your takeaway about the open world?
What we got to play was pretty by the numbers open world design, where it's like, oh, go do this thing and you get rewarded with it for money. Like, go basically clear out this camp full of enemies, or stop like this caravan with your vehicle by blowing it up.
These are all side quests.
Yeah, these are all like, it's not even side quests, these are just activities you do in the world. We only got to explore the desert area. What I will say is that there are more biomes that we didn't actually get to go play around in that look much more impressive. Right. Like, we were pretty much stuck in Mad Max land, but you know, they did a flyover demo and they took us to another place, which was like a swampy marshlands that's just filled with like this biker gang called the Roadhogs, who are disgusting and awful, and they build like junkyard mechs and stuff.
That sounds fun to look at.
It was really cool.
Yeah, it's really fun to look at, but at the same time, like, it definitely smacks of like traditional open world Far Cry stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
For better or for worse.
Right.
Like
okay.
like open world design from like 5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy.
What the? I feel the opposite about it, actually.
Okay.
It reminded me, you know, Breath of the Wild has kind of landmarky design where you're
the
seeing
best
interesting
open world
things.
ever made?
Sure.
Okay.
You're seeing interesting things and you're going there and you're being rewarded by the experience you have there. And that feels like a trend that a lot of open world games have done. And I felt like Rage 2 established that pretty well.
Wait,
I
what?
didn't do any
You're comparing Rage 2 to Breath of the Wild?
in that it's an open world where it's landmark based, because you'll see like this city built on this broken piece of highway that's just standing on one column, and you'll go explore it, and once you get there, a mission starts, because they're all based on, not all of them, side missions are based on the location, where it's destroy all these gas depots once you get there. And so
interesting. Okay.
It was me driving around. I didn't do any of the story. I just explored the open world, and I would drive around and see things and go there, and there would be a mission there, and I would do it.
Call us out, readers. If this game comes out and it's not as good as Breath of the Wild, we'll eat our words.
Yeah, one of the cool things is, like Leo said, you can go and explore stuff and find stuff out there, but you can also like sort of just talk to NPCs and they'll give you hints about something like, oh, you might want to go check out this place that's yonder. That's going to be the word of this podcast, is yonder.
It's a big theme of the game.
And you'll find like a rocket launcher or something. So, you know, it definitely feels more interesting than like, oh, big mission pointer, go here. You know, it does feel like there is an active discovery there, but I still feel like the end product from what I've seen is it's going to eventually just be a checklist that you put together, if that makes sense, as opposed to the game just spitting one out at you.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that's going to turn out in the final product, but I do think there's promise there. I'm definitely more excited for it than most open world games, just because I think like so much of the combat is going to be doing so much of the work, like the tools that they give you, that the open world design isn't necessarily going to be like breaking the game, you know, even if it's not the greatest. Like, I just really like that combat.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't want to come across too negative either. Like, I did like the game, and what I saw, especially after my demo, got me more excited about it. I just feel like I didn't want to like overhype it, and like the world mission design feels very traditional to me.
Yeah.
So I think just knowing, and I don't even say that's bad. I think people will like this game if they like that kind of mission design and that type of open world. Just knowing what it is ahead of time is helpful.
Yeah. Did you guys all play Mad Max?
Yes.
Avalanche Sweden's last game. Does it feel a lot like that?
No, it feels more arcadey.
Right.
You know, and you're not necessarily like harpooning cars. Like Mad Max, it felt like you were just driving something that was huge and tanky, even though like it was just like such an ordeal to move around. Like everything in Rage 2 is the physics are more exaggerated, and it's more arcadey, I feel like.
Yeah. One thing I liked is I was like driving through the countryside, and like you see other NPCs occasionally, and for some reason I started shooting him, and he was like, no, I got a family or something like that, and I'm like, oh, and I just felt bad. I was like, I don't want to attack this guy anymore.
You're the worst character in the post-apocalypse.
Yeah.
Oh, gee, my bad.
The thing I'll most be using driving for is when you're driving, you can hold X on controller, I believe, to eject, and you fly 30 feet in the air and the car keeps going, and once you're out of the car, it's glass fragile. It'll explode when it hits anything.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
So it's like the Batmobile launcher almost from like Arkham Knight. That's
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah, you can fly up and then combo it into a slam from there. And that car destruction thing, that's straight out of Just Cause. That's classic Avalanche, fellas.
And even if you don't do that, if you just splatter enemies with your car, like if you run them over, it's just so gory but entertaining at the same time. They just literally just turn into liquid.
There
It's
was a
just-
time. There was a time where I was in some random gang battle. Two of the factions were fighting each other, and I got in the middle of it, and then a car came roaring through, and they got turned to mush in front of me, which was
Everyone's
some
so
fun.
soft in the post-apocalypse.
Yeah, when I had overdrive on, which you become more powerful doing anything, I slid into someone's legs, and they just popped off, and he fell on the ground.
So my grandma went that way, actually.
Did you guys explore that city very much? Like, how deep is that city? Because I wandered through it a bit, and I tried to talk to everybody, but it felt a little bit mechanical. Like, there's a shop you go to, everything like has its purpose, but just in terms of like a natural city, it didn't quite feel super natural.
It felt pretty much like Rage 1, I think, where you're just walking around talking to enemies, and they'll say they're or friendlies, and they'll say their one engineered line to
Right.
you, except they'll sometimes give you a mission in this case.
Yeah. Big surprises along the way. Like just reading the comments to Leo's wonderful rapid fire questions with Tim Willits, a lot of people were like, "Oh, I can play as a woman. That's cool." Like I don't think that had been communicated before, or at least it hadn't gotten out there. And another thing, which really has sent me thinking this morning, is a lot of people were like, "Hey, he said it runs at 60 on console. At least what did he say on the Pro and the X that it runs at 60?"
He didn't specify.
Okay, so
Well,
maybe
it's all
that'll
of them.
be differentiator. But a lot of people, a shocking number of people, maybe YouTube's just more techie in that way. They're like, "Oh, open world running at 60, awesome." So you think about it, it's like, yeah, I guess it is pretty rare to have an open world that big running at 60. But leave it
is
to id, I
interesting.
guess, to pull it off.
Well,
Well,
But
it's not.
that's the
It's
thing.
software.
Right.
It's Avalanche's like same engine for Just Cause.
and it's not even
Oh.
id Tech is the weird thing.
Oh,
so they're
really?
just sort of overseeing the development of it, really,
Yeah.
more than anything else.
Yeah, actually, one of my favorite questions in the rapid fire was, I think it's because I gave it to Leo to ask,
Right.
but is id more involved with Quake Champions or are they more involved with Rage 2? And the answer was Quake Champions, which I didn't expect, but there we go. Did you learn
Good
anything else
honesty.
about the dev history that was interesting?
Like the you mean the relationship
Yeah, it's
between
the
the
collaboration there, yeah.
two? No. I just think it's like it was very much like, oh yeah, this collaboration is different because we're not just licensing out the engine, because they've done that for a bunch of stuff, or they've done properties like Wolfenstein with Machine Games. Obviously, they're just
Right.
kind of like, yeah, you guys do whatever, we don't care. That was very much that's what
You
they
can't pay us to fucking care.
No, that's how they usually do it. Like Quake 4, same
You
thing.
didn't use that quote, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. But it just, they seem more invested in this one for some reason. Maybe because, I don't know, the first Rage didn't light the world on fire the same way that like those other properties did.
Are they appropriately kind of humble about the reception towards Rage? Not that it was a bomb, but do they understand that like it's a Rage license? We know we have to work to win your interest here.
Yeah. I mean, so much of their pitch to us was like, we have Avalanche working with us. They're true open world people. Like our first game, we said it was open world. It wasn't. People didn't like the ending. Like one of the articles that we have on the site when we revealed the cover was like, Rage game director promises better ending this time, because
Right.
people hate that ending.
They were very aware of
Yeah.
the reception to that ending.
That was
for
like one
sure.
of the first things they talked about.
Oh, good.
I think too, like one of the things that if you were turned off by that marketing push at E3, just the very like colorful, like this is zany Mad Max. Like
They're
that's-
just ripping off Far Cry New Dawn.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't feel like that's what the game. That wasn't like super representative of the game. And after, like, because I was a little bit turned off by that marketing, I was like, I don't know if I want to play this. But then, like, playing the game, I'm like, oh, this is actually cooler than I think. And it's like similar to Fallout, but it is goofy at times. I guess Fallout's goofy. So there's that, but it's not like super zany, colorful.
Andrew
stupid.
WK isn't playing as a soundtrack the entire time.
Not the entire time.
Yeah,
I thought
just-
the
He is
Game
in the
Awards
game.
trailer was way better.
Yeah.
it
than
captured the
they've had
tone
before.
pretty well.
Yeah.
I think the most surprising thing for me about the game and the trip was just like how deeply invested they are in maintaining the lore that the first game introduced, because
Oh, wow.
I just assumed it'd be like a Titanfall 2 situation where it's like, okay, I can play Titanfall 2. These characters were in the first game as like handlers, but they didn't really necessarily have like these long drawn out biographies.
Right.
Like major characters from the first game return and play big roles. Like the girl who trains you in the first game as a kid is like one of the major players in this game.
Okay.
And like all the factions are returning from the first games as new enemies that have evolved, and they all have like long biographies and histories about why they've changed and stuff.
It was interesting seeing the muties back from the first one, which those are the most impressive part of the Rage 1, where they were bouncing off the walls, and when you'd shoot them, they'd roll so realistically. They all looked incredible. I fought those guys, and now there are 10 times as many of them at a time as there were before.
Oh, good.
Which is fun to slam a big group of them. And it
Yeah.
never hurt performance at all.
Cool. Anything else we haven't hit? Really shout out to you guys?
Couple tiny things.
Oh, yes.
People have armor on that you can blast off. little armor pieces. So there are times where I shoot somebody with a shotgun and they go flying and all their clothes fly off and it looks like Charlie Brown kicking the football.
And you saw everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just pretty crazy. Another cool ability, you can punch grenades back at people.
Oh, like if you just time the melee?
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
a fun idea.
It's
At
really
first
cool.
you can only do it in the air, but then after you upgrade it more, you can, whenever there's a grenade on the ground, you just melee attack it and it goes
As it's
flying
on the
at enemy.
ground?
Yeah.
That's such a stupid idea. Just punching this thing on the ground, watching it skip away.
It's incredible.
That sounds good.
I also had a little ability where it's called Weapon Juggler, where when you switch weapons, when your mag is empty, that weapon gets refilled in ammo. So I can switch back and forth between weapons and never have to reload. So it was fun to make a build around that.
That's a good idea.
I don't
Yeah.
think we talked too much about the weapons, but the weapons felt good, and like there's some cool weapons in there. And it's not like Borderlands where there's 100 of them. They have like they're specifically designed. There's like, do we know how many? There's like 10 of them maybe. or
Yeah,
something
not
like
in
that.
total. I mean, but like the shotgun is as expected really good. I really love that shotgun, especially when you do an overdrive because it lights up and the barrel starts growing orange and like overheating, and you're just like tearing through enemies like it's a machine gun more than a shotgun.
Yeah.
Huh.
I
Okay.
think that's one of those things is like everybody expects loot in games now or something like that where there's just gonna be a million guns, but like when you do that, I feel like 80% of them don't feel that great. You know, where this one they're like crafting each one to make it feel good, and so
Yeah.
each one has its own like purpose and like actually is fun to play with.
Sure.
Another thing worth noting for people who are turning in and haven't like seen anything of Rage outside of that introductory trailer, there is no multiplayer. So for people who like, love Borderlands and are expecting like that kind of game,
Yeah. I think a lot of people assume it's co-op.
Yeah, there is no co-op, there's no deathmatch, there's no multiplayer aspect of it whatsoever.
I'm kind of happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy too. I just know there are a lot of people out there who are going to be like, well, I want Borderlands. And that
Right.
is not this game.
Gotcha. Gameformer.com/Rage2.
Rage 2.
There we go. What's coming up throughout the month?
We have features on weapons, factions. We've got exclusive interviews. Leo just did his rapid fire, which was really good with Tim Willett.
It is very funny. I think it's some of the best written questions on your part, Leo, or on Game Informer's part.
Game Informer's part, for
There's
sure.
some very funny stuff in there.
If you haven't read the issue yet, we're going to have exclusive concept art just for online that wasn't in the issue, so you'll be able to see that, and it looks cool.
There we go.
And the video on Powers should be up on YouTube today, youtube.com/GameInformer.
Whoa.
There we go. Cool stuff. All right, Rage 2. That was just a clip from a larger show called The Game Informer Show. You can find it on iTunes, Google Play, or GameInformer.com. We take the fun opportunities and exclusive information from Game Informer magazine and boil it into a show that airs every Thursday with exclusive cover story information, developer interviews, a lot of fun stuff. So come love games with us.